So in Module 5, you are working on targeted supports and interventions for ELLs with disabilities. There's Tier 1, there's Tier 2, and there's Tier 3 disabilities or supports that you can offer. So for students with lower intensity needs, these are Tier 1 supports. And our objective is to think around medium intensity as well as lower intensity needs and how to support students. It's driven by data and assessment, meaning what you see in the classroom. So there's different types of supports that we can do. The main ones involve monitoring through using metrics, which means different ways of measuring students' progress over time. And the kinds of supports will be different based on what you want to measure. So to realize that, students' background and their language should be considered, and we shouldn't just say because a student can't speak in English, they have a disability, of course. So it should be evidence-based practices, and that's exactly what the resources are giving you. And these are specific links and resources that you can use to find evidence-based practices for assessing students with disabilities. The main strategies revolve around executive functioning. These are organizational skills, checklists, self-monitoring. These are strategies you can use in your projects as well. Building emotional and social skills, checking in, checking out, interactions, supporting academic skills, of course, and of course using technology. So different people can deliver these: special educators, ESOL, teachers, and it should be clear that all teachers should be able to at least know how to use these skills. That's why training is important. And some students will need more. If you're mild or with moderate needs, you may need to check in 1 to twice a week, and those can be in small groups or in pairs. And then it goes on to an application here. So I really like the site that they gave us. In this site, RTI, response to intervention, this is after we do an intervention. It's different ways of measuring how the intervention is impacting the young person. And you can see here there's specific strategies you can use for interventions afterwards to see and measure over time. I like them all. This one about flashcards with constant delay was interesting, where you ask a question and you hold up the question on a flashcard, and then you ask and you see how long it takes for them to respond. And after 5 seconds, if they don't get it, then you tell them the answer and ask them again the question. And the idea is to build their skills. So there's a bunch of skills here that you can use as your intervention strategies. Over here, we have a wonderful site of specific practice guides and recommendations to address challenges at the individual level, at the level of classrooms and at schools. And you can click any one of them for one of the challenges you want to work with. So let's say you're interested about improving reading comprehension in kindergarten students. You would click on it, and it shows you in steps, specific steps you'll need to do in your teaching. And it gives additional resources. This is one example, but this site has wonderful intervention examples, and they're broken down very nicely for the specific skill you want to build in students. So remember, you're thinking of 2 to 3 skills you want to build in your students and then going through them. And then finally here we have this RTI, response to intervention in reading. It's a whole network for learning disabilities and supporting teachers, and it goes through, and parents as well, and it goes through the kinds of instruction we need to do based on students' needs and how to monitor, and also the tiers. So once again, tier 1 means it's a student who needs some support, but maybe not as high. So support. So that means that your expectations instruction on them is going to be higher. While we're getting to tier 2, they're going to need some more support. The interventions can be implemented at younger ages. And finally, T3 are ELLs who are significantly behind in reading. That requires high intensive and extensive reading interventions. So basically, the more support they need, the higher the tier. And that's what this module was about. You can read into more details to find more.